Have you ever experienced the pain of discovering that someone you love is living a completely different life? Every time I ask myself that question, I remember how Jessica dressed up that night. Right in front of my eyes, my wife of 20 years was getting ready for someone else. When I saw that scene, my entire world collapsed. Years of loyalty and trust shattered in a single night. As I watched Jessica dressing up for another man, waves of anger and helplessness washed over me. I knew then that everything would be different. That night, our lives irreversibly changed. Before dive into my story, if you don't want your life to be turned upside down like mine, subscribe to my channel to learn real lessons from the real stories we share every day, just like mine. Also, share your thoughts about the shocking truths I've experienced in the comments, and please show your support by liking my video. Now that you've subscribed, let's dive into my story. Everything began that night, the moment I realized that Jessica was not preparing to meet me, but someone else. She was more meticulous and careful than I had ever seen her. The excitement she felt was evident on her face. Black lace lingerie, high heels, and flawless makeup. She wasn't getting ready for me. She was preparing for Mark Diamond, her boss. I had suspected something was going on between her and Mark for a while, but that night everything became clear. The scene I witnessed with my own eyes destroyed the love I had for years. "Jessica, where are you going?" I asked, and I will never forget the look on her face. She hesitated for a moment but quickly regained her composure. "I'm going out with friends," she said, as if expecting me to believe that she would get dressed up like this for a simple night out with friends. But I knew the truth. This wasn't an innocent gathering with friends. The anger and suspicion inside me were like a volcano ready to erupt. As I looked at her face, I tried to calm myself, but I failed. My suspicions had started a few months earlier. At a company dinner, I noticed the way Mark looked at Jessica, and I felt a growing discomfort inside. As Jessica danced with Mark, I sensed something between them. When Mark gave me a smug look, everything became clearer. But Jessica seemed as relaxed as always. "You're overreacting. Mark is just a coworker," she had said. But something didn't feel right inside me. Thinking back to that night, I wished I had acted sooner. Jessica's long hours at work, canceled lunch plans, and ever-changing excuses slowly made me paranoid. Even her behavior toward me had changed. She spoke less, spent less time with me. All these signs pointed to one thing: Jessica was cheating on me. I needed proof. First, I installed hidden cameras around our house. I started watching every corner. At first, everything seemed normal. Jessica was acting like her usual self. But one night, while I was away on a business trip, I received a notification on my phone, and everything changed. Jessica was whispering on the phone, "Mark, can you come over tonight? I'm alone." At that moment, my world collapsed once again. For a moment, everything stopped. My wife was inviting another man into our bed. As those words echoed in my mind, my hands and feet trembled. I struggled to pull myself together. At that moment, I didn't know what to do, but I knew for certain that Jessica was betraying me. An hour later, the doorbell rang, and Mark walked into my home. As I watched them, I couldn't believe my eyes. Jessica embraced him, kissed him. Watching those moments was the most painful experience of my life. The anger inside me was like a bomb ready to explode. Watching that night unfold was unbearable for me. As they headed to our bedroom, I knew I couldn't hold back any longer. As I witnessed the end of our marriage, a plan formed in my mind. Jessica and Mark weren't going to get away with this. That night, I made my plan, and for 2 weeks, I acted with patience. I watched Jessica's every move, listened to her every conversation, and waited for them to meet again. When that night came, I put my plan into action. I pretended to leave on another business trip, giving Jessica and Mark the opportunity to meet once again. This time, I returned home in secret. Armed with a baseball bat and a short-barreled shotgun, my anger was uncontrollable. I quietly approached the bedroom. When I saw them together, it was the final straw. I lunged at Mark and started hitting him with the bat. Jessica's terrified screams echoed through the house. "Stop! Please stop!" she shouted, but it was too late. Mark lay on the floor, his face covered in blood. Jessica looked at me, trembling with fear, her eyes wide with horror. I picked up the shotgun and aimed it at her. "Jessica, I said in a calm voice. Tonight, you're going to pay for everything you put me through. But I won't kill you. You're going to live with this betrayal every day for the rest of your life. Tears streamed down Jessica's face, showing how regretful she was, but I no longer cared. When I left the house that night, leaving Jessica and Mark behind, I felt a temporary sense of relief, but it didn't last. As I drove through the quiet streets, I felt something was wrong. Even though I had taken my revenge, the emptiness inside me remained. The next morning, there was a knock on my door, and I felt a sense of unease. When I saw the police, I immediately understood what had happened. Mark had been taken to the hospital after the injuries I had inflicted, and Jessica had stayed by his side, waiting for him to recover. But it didn't end there. Mark had reported what happened to the police, saying that I had attacked him. When the police arrived at my home, I hadn't expected everything to escalate so quickly. Jessica had told them about that night and had taken out a restraining order against me. To her, I was now just a dangerous man. Mr. Johnson, you are under arrest for assaulting your wife and Mark Diamond. Please come with us to the station, they said. For a moment, I reflected on how everything had come to this point. Jessica's betrayal, my anger, and my plan for revenge. It all flashed before my eyes. When we arrived at the police station, I read Jessica's statement. My husband went crazy, she had said. He attacked Mark and threatened me. I feared for my life. The fact that Jessica was now playing the victim after betraying me so deeply made me furious. They took me to court, but Jessica and Mark's testimonies weren't enough. With the help of my lawyer, I was able to avoid conviction because I had footage proving Jessica had cheated on me. But the social consequences were far worse. Jessica and Mark had told everyone about the incident, my workplace, friends, even my neighbors. They all believed I was dangerous. As I walked down the street, I could hear their whispers. That's the guy who beat up his wife, they would say. Everyone saw me as a monster. As for Jessica, she experienced a steep downfall in her life. Mark completely ended their relationship. Jessica lost her job and became a public disgrace. The only thing left for her was loneliness. Once a couple admired by everyone, we had now become the talk of the town. Shortly after, Jessica left town. I never found out where she went. She never returned. I didn't reach out to her, and she didn't contact me. But one day I received unexpected news about her, which I will reveal at the end of the story. As for Mark, after his recovery, he returned to work, but he too couldn't regain his old life. His coworkers turned their backs on him after learning about his affair with Jessica. He was seen as the man who cheated and soon had to leave his job, losing his reputation in the city. Strangely enough, he also disappeared like Jessica. Both of them tried to escape the consequences of their actions by starting new lives, but the lives they had left behind continued to haunt them. As for me, my life never returned to normal. After the court ruling, I lost my job. Even though I had taken my revenge, the emptiness inside me never went away. One night, while sitting alone at home, I found myself thinking about Jessica and those nights. There was no place for her in my life anymore, but the years I had spent with her kept replaying in my mind. I was mentally broken. Loneliness consumed me. The way people looked at me, the isolation I felt while walking down the streets, it all weighed heavily on me. One day a neighbor approached me. "Did you hear?" he said. "Someone saw Jessica recently. She was found dead in the same town where Mark lived. Word is they both might have committed suicide." That news shook me to my core. Their deaths were the final result of the destruction I had set in motion. Whether it was a relief or a greater burden, I'm not sure. But I felt that something had come to an end inside me. In the end, my life was completely turned upside down. I went from being a betrayed husband to seeking revenge. But in the end, I lost both Jessica and myself. In this story, there were no winners. Only broken, lost lives remained.